can't talk about the stuff I'm doing now, but at Uber in the past, I built this like huge email IDS system in Lambda functions, all in AWS. It's really cool. Like took apart all these emails, and at some point, because we were doing all this like large scale phishing detection, we started hearing of these phishing campaigns that were targeting the drivers of Uber, and it would basically be these people, and they would contact the drivers. They would first request a ride. They'd get the ride matched up with the driver, and then they would instantly call the driver and say, "Hey, we're from Uber Official, and you've won some kind of raffle or something, and we need you to go to this website and log in." Yeah, totally bogus. So they'd go to the website and be like uberbonus.com, and they'd log in, and it'd be phishing, and they'd steal their credentials, and then they'd log into the driver's account and cash them out right away and take all their money.
Wow, that's
yeah,
pretty smart. As far as a
yeah.
phishing campaign goes, that's not a bad one. That's pretty cool. I'm
It
terrible,
worked, man.
but cool. Yeah.
It
Jesus.
it
Okay.
absolutely worked. These guys made tons of money. And it's interesting too, because when you're doing like corporate cybersecurity, obviously your job is to protect the customers, but your real job is to protect the company, right? So like
Yeah.
this kind of phishing campaign gets deprioritized, like because it's the drivers being defrauded. It's not like the corporation themselves. At first, the corporation didn't even want to like really cover the costs. They were like, "Oh, well, that's your fault. Like if somebody logs into your bank, right?" But
Yeah.
they were logging into our app, so we pushed really hard internally to like reimburse these people, and then also like start tracking the losses of this campaign because it was getting deprioritized. Because people didn't see it as a big threat to like the business itself.
Yeah.
So we started tracking this campaign, and over the course of a few months, like we saw them go from like $0 to $40,000, like really quickly. Like
Whoa.
they stole a ton of money. Yeah.
Jesus, they weren't messing about.
Yeah. So we put together this big report. We tried to get the FBI involved. The FBI is like $40,000. That's nothing, guys.
Yeah.
They
Like,
didn't
drop
want
in the
anything to
ocean.
do
Get
with
out of
it.
here.
Yeah,
Oh my
it was
God.
kind of like really took the wind out of our sails, you know what I mean? But we kept tracking it, and it was really fun. Like every day they'd stand up a new phishing site, and we'd report the phishing site, try and get it taken down. We implemented a filter in the chat system so that they could no longer text these sites to people like through the app. We would block all URLs, and then we got really creative, and I released a book last year called Adversarial Tradecraft in Cybersecurity, and I actually talk about this exact technique in the book. And I wouldn't do this in normal operations. Like what I'm about to say is pretty crazy sounding. But when you have these long-term campaigns and somebody is like stealing some piece of data, and you can't really like stop them other way, like every day, like we would block these sites and they'd come back. You kind of have to start to get inside their thought process and like attack the way they're designing their campaign. So what we realized they were doing is they would clone the Uber login page every day, or the Uber homepage. And then they would basically run this copy of our site that was sent them all the answers and all the phishing. So what we did is we backdoored the JavaScript in the Uber login page, like the home page. And we said, if this JavaScript is getting loaded on something that isn't uber.com, I also want you to send all of the credentials that log in there to this endpoint. So they'd clone our website.
You hacked the hackers.
Oh, it was so good, dude. It was so good. We no longer would block their sites. We'd let them clone our sites, and then the victims would get phished. And what they would do is they would collect all these credentials, and then at the end of the day, they would have people manually log in and like cash these people out. Meanwhile, we had everything fully automated. So the moment our people logged into this foreign page and got phished, we applied 2FA to their accounts and sent them a password reset email. So now like we were inside their like decision loop. Like like we hacked the hackers. So they would phish all these people, and the accounts would be instantly locked. And I'm sure they were just going mad, like, what is happening? Not only that, but we had all kinds of cool telemetry, because now they would like edit the web page locally on their laptop. So we'd get the IP that they were working from locally, and we'd get like file path names. So we'd have like usernames leading to the desktop where they're working on the web page. It was great.
Did some people get arrested?
Yeah, unfortunately, like
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, oh, yeah, obviously, yeah. Wow, okay, that is actually crazy, but that's a freaking cool story. I think that tops
Yeah.
my best stories I've heard this like in the last 2 years of hacking the hackers. That's brilliant. Fuck, I love it.
Yeah.
It's
It was
blown
funny
away.
though.
It's like
We
phishing
cracked
the
the
fishers
campaign.
and hacking the hackers, and oh my god, straight up.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
it was a good one. And like I wouldn't recommend doing that to most people. Like, yeah, backdoor your app, like your website source
Absolutely
code. Like,
not. No.
it sounds crazy, but it worked.
Was it like localized at least? Was it just like to this particular area, or was it just like nah everywhere?
Yeah, it was everywhere, man. And
Everywhere.
it was,
Oh my god.
it was funny too, because like, oh, they're
You
gonna
probably
see this
found
for
some
sure.
stuff that you probably found some stuff that like you didn't even mean to find out of that as well. I'm sure there was some more, findings out of this. Oh my, that's insane. I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you next, like, what's your best war story? But yeah, have you got anything better than that? That's crazy.